This video shows Sumitsuke and Kizami the marking and cutting process for a small Tutsubo house extension. First, I start marking the timber, the columns, sill plates and beams to prepare them for cutting. I'll explain this process so that even people overseas can understand how Japanese carpenters do Kizami work. We, Japanese carpenters, always start by marking the exact center of the timber. That's our reference line. That's because wood is never perfectly straight. This one had a 3mm bend, so I twisted the line and marked it along the curve. This is called a kenzao, a custom gauge we use to copy spacing between columns. It's much less error-prone than measuring with a tape every time. Here, I'm marking 1 shaku 5 sun, about 455mm. That's roughly the standard spacing between columns in a traditional Japanese wooden house. I'm now marking the position for the mabashira, the stud that goes between main columns. For building a Japanese house, this sashigane, the carpenter's square, is our one and only essential ruler. I use the width of the square itself as a guide for my marking lines. Even temples and shrines in Kyoto were all built using just this sashigan. It's amazing what the old Japanese carpenters accomplished with just this simple tool. Nowadays, most of the cutting is done by machine. We call it pre-cut. But since this is a small addition, we decided to do the kizami by hand. I'm using a traditional sumisashi, a bamboo ink marker, to draw fine lines and reference marks. So, why not just use a pencil or a ballpoint pen? Because wood has grain direction. Some parts are soft, others are hard. And knots make it uneven. With a pencil or pen, you can't always draw a crisp straight line. The bamboo sumisashi has a flat, spatula-like tip, so it keeps a steady angle and glides perfectly along a ruler. It pairs beautifully with the sashigane.
これは何ですか？
ちょうど真ん中に細穴。
なるほど。
We set each column in the same orientation as it stood in the forest. The root side, the denser and stronger end, always faces downward, toward the foundation. By looking at the knots and grain patterns, you can tell which side was the root and which was the top. Now, I'll start cutting the columns, all at once. These are 105mm hinoki, or Japanese cypress posts. This part here is called the hozo, the tenon. Using this machine, called a hozokiri, we can cut both vertically and horizontally at the same time. This is Yo-chan's first try using the hozokiri. She doesn't usually do this kind of work, so it's a good learning experience for her. You have to cut right along the center of the sumi line, not leaving too much and not cutting it away completely. Everything's a challenge. Most modern carpenters rarely get to do this kind of work anymore, so it's a valuable experience. Even for me, it's been over 10 years since I last did hand kizami work. We've just finished making the hozo on the column. Next, we'll make the mortise holes where the hozo tenons fit on the sill, plates and beams. This machine is called a kakunomi, or hollow chisel mortiser. Even though this is called hand-cut joinery, we actually use machines for most of the process. After rough cutting the hole with the machine, we fine-tune it by hand using chisels. She handled the kakunomi pretty well. For her first try, that's impressive. We finished both parts, the tenon on the column and the mortise on the receiving beam. Now, we'll move on to the next step. Cutting the mabashirakaki, the notches for the intermediate studs. We'll cut 5mm deep and 30mm wide into the sill and beam. For this, I use a power tool called a mizokiri cutter, which works like a circular saw. Next, we'll drill holes for the hagotaboru, the metal tie-down bolts. They hold the columns and beams tightly together, reinforcing the frame. This type of cut is called zabori, or counterboring. Let me explain with a drawing. First, we drill through for the bolt. Then, we carve a shallow recess for the nut. That recessed part keeps the nut from sticking out. That's what we call zabori. We don't counterbore every joint, only where the bolt head would get in the way. Too much cutting weakens the frame, so we avoid unnecessary work. Now, she'll try making a simple watariago joint. I haven't really taught her how to use chisels yet, but she's being careful not to hurt herself. Next, we'll cut the keraba, the barge rafter at the gable end. Let me show you what that means with a quick diagram. This side here is the hafu, now a barge board. And this one is the hanakakushi, or fascia board. So when we say keraba cut, we mean trimming off the edge. That sticks out here. Alright, let's use a circular saw to cut the beam end at an angle. Now, it's her turn to try the keraba cut and the tricky reverse hand circular saw cut. My rule is, you have to try everything at least once. That's how you learn. Next, she'll try a vertical rip cut using a handsaw. There's a big knot near the line, so it's going to be a challenge. It's pretty heavy work. You end up using muscles you didn't even know you had. She managed to finish the cut, somehow. Next, we are marking the huchibari, the diagonal brace beam. It's a piece that runs diagonally across the sill and beam. It's a bit like a brace between columns, but the huchibari reinforces the frame horizontally. Now, she's trying to drill a diagonal bolt hole. This is how we grow, learning while working on a real client's home. The hole's direction is off. It should have followed the same angle as the bolt, toward the beam mark. She missed it, so we'll have to redo this one. I had to step out for another job, so she handled the rest of the kizami on her own. I'm sure she'll get it right this time. Wait, what? No, not that way. Well, mistakes happen. It just means she's taking on something truly difficult. And that's worth respecting. So that night, we had a little reflection and study session together. We went over the markings again, reviewing where she went wrong earlier.
なんで丸打ったらんとも間違うよ。うん、そう。こっちだけでまずは裏出さんなったらこで。こう大事な。線が危なくてややこしいからね。いっちゃうたかんからここまでよっていう線から木を書くん。ここからこうじゃん。こっち金間間なんだけどこう失敗するから。切るのはこいつだよって書いたらんと。
We didn't finish in 2 days, so we worked overtime that night. It must have been overwhelming for her, trying so many new things at once. That's how our little carpenter's training session came to an end. Next time, we'll assemble all the columns and beams we've just prepared.
L アングルとか。
もうちょい頑張れよ。
To be continued. A like or a comment really encourages us. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.